Welcome to This Week in Local, a Localogy podcast featuring lively conversations about the local digital ecosystem, hosted by Localogy analysts Mike Boland and Charles Laughlin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Local. I'm Charles Laughlin, here with my co-host Mike Boland. Mike, how's it going?
Hi, Charlie.
So here we are, episode 15 of This Week in Local. Mike, congratulations to both of us for getting this far. Why don't you tell us what you've been working on?
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of examining, researching, and writing about a new sort of move from our friends over at Yext. So another sort of power move. This week they launched a no-code page builder, and I'll get into what that means in a minute. And what it essentially does is it sort of deepens Yext's presence in the website builder competitive space. And in that way, it's sort of an adjacent product expansion, which falls in line with the pattern of a lot of things they've been doing lately, to sort of extend their place in the stack. And then, by doing so, inherently gain some of the benefits of vertical integration. And that has both go-to-market advantages, economic advantages, technological advantages, and I'll go into some of those in a second. But first, what the heck is this thing? So known as Studio, it's a no-code web page builder. So web page builders are essentially following a trend towards no code, right? So you see the closest probably examples are tools like Wix and Squarespace. And within the WordPress world, you have plugins like Elementor. And what it does is it essentially allows anyone to build these like highly slick and professional websites by just sort of dragging and dropping page elements, images, text boxes, contact us fields, that kind of thing. So highly drag and drop. So Yext has announced this on top of their existing offering, which is called Yext Pages. So this is sort of the front end, low code sort of page builder add-on experience. And in addition to sort of the look and feel and the low code drag and drop functionality, it's also naturally, as we're talking about Yext here, SEO optimized. So the design is in alignment with, good page speed and SEO best practices and, achieving Google's core vital scores and all that good stuff. Now, if I were to zero in on like one thing among all the things I just mentioned, that's sort of like the key term, it's no code, right? Like I said, it's sort of become table stakes in certain segments of the website builder competitive landscape. Like I said, you have more advanced platforms that like front-end developers tend to gravitate towards, and that's like platforms like WordPress, right? But further down the spectrum towards like democratized, non-techie sort of personas, you get the Squarespaces and the Wixes of the world. And that's sort of where this sits. Now that segment also, because we always bring things back to the topic of SMBs, is where SMBs also sit. Now, in addition to SMBs, I think a similar persona exists where Yext is targeting here, and it's sort of its sweet spot, which is sort of consumer-facing enterprises or even some B2B enterprises where they have like a marketing department, and you get marketing executives or associates, or maybe even it's like an e-commerce site. You have associates that want to build something fast, and this enables them to do something. They're launching a new product, or there's a new page, and they don't want to have to wait for a developer. So I think this allows them to sort of, execute at web speed, as we say. And I think that's what Yext is trying to tap into here. Now, back to some of those like strategic implications I mentioned with the vertical integration. I think this is notable. And it's sort of the next domino to fall for Yext in terms of like the adjacent products it continues to build on top of its sort of core product. And again, that brings it a few advantages: technological, economic, go-to-market. So just briefly taking those one at a time, technologically speaking, this is interesting. So Yext, as you know, Charlie, we talked about this on a previous episode. They've launched Yext Search, then they launched Yext Chat, which is its AI-driven chat bot. And all of these things sort of build on and feed into Yext knowledge graph. So think of it sort of like Google's knowledge graph. It's sort of, but confined to one website where it sort of ingests the content and the knowledge base, and then it forms a search index and an AI training set for some of these types of products. So now, one of the things that I'm speculating is that with this studio sort of web interface page builder, the same sort of websites that already use some of its products and incorporate the Yext knowledge graph are sort of optimized for better indexing and better crawling, so that the knowledge graph, Yext knowledge graph, can sort of do its thing. So that's sort of how all these pieces fit together from a technological perspective. And then I'll close with that other advantage, which is simply a go-to-market advantage, and really, I guess I should say a sales advantage, because this is just like what we talked about with when it launched Yext Chat. It can sort of bundle these features for more like one-stop shop economics and appeal to its customers. It can sell into its existing customers. And I think that the sales message is everything I've said up till now: the benefits of vertical integration and, economics of bundling, and the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that's sort of a theme we continue to see from Yext as it continues to sort of expand its products. And in that way, I should say it could be competitive with sort of the website builders out there, this space it's sort of entering, that aren't as vertically integrated and can sort of boast those advantages. So it's going to be interesting to see if it's able to sort of gain market share there, edge out some of those other players. And we're going to get the chance to sort of ask some of those prying questions at L23, the upcoming Localogy conference, of course. We're having Yext Chief Data Officer Christian Ward on stage in a fireside chat. So we'll be sure to ask him about some of these speculations that I've made. But that's what we're looking at there, Charlie.
Okay, great, Mike. Thank you for that. Couple quick things. You mentioned that they're sort of creeping into another competitive lane with this, right? One of the things with all of these website builders is it's a partnership model, particularly in the SMB space. And I'm wondering, maybe this is more of a speculative question. I don't know if you have a thought on it, whether Yext is sort of pivoting into kind of competing for those channel partners as much as they are competing for just having the capabilities that a Wix had. Yeah.
Well, and of course, Yext casts a wide net. So I think what you're asking is there's a lot of different market segments it's hitting. One is SMB, and Yext is huge, as you know, on channel partners to reach all of those sort of down market, mid market, and SMB segments. It's also increasingly going after larger enterprises where, of course, that's an easier sell because it's less of a fragmented market to sell into. And
it's
I mentioned
a direct
some of those
sale
examples.
too, in general.
Yeah, it's a direct sale.
Yeah.
So I mentioned some of those examples, like a marketing department within a consumer brand that can use a lot of these tools. So for that, when we're talking about that end, it's direct. But yeah, for the channel partners, that's where the sort of SMB play comes in. And I think that, yeah, I mean, I guess that the direct sale Yext is making in that situation is to the channel partner and communicating all these advantages. It never talks to the end user in that situation.
No, very few of these companies sell eyeball to SMBs. That's very, very rare. Okay, that's interesting. And you say what about creators, individuals? Yeah. Is this a good product for them? Is this intended for them?
Yeah. So that's interesting because I mentioned some personas or examples of the target market for that end of the website builder spectrum, the end that is more democratized, more low code, more drag and drop. The creator economy is absolutely included in there: individuals, professionals, graphic designers, etc. I think that a lot of the creator economy has actually latched onto something that is even less sophisticated and even more democratized, which is the whole sort of link to bio type of product that's come out in the last year or so.
The link tree kind of thing, or
no? What this is essentially just it's like a very simple landing page that is sold to a lot of these folks, where their main presence is like an Instagram account, and this allows them, when on your Instagram, some allow you a URL, and people are like, I don't have a website, so the page to link to bio, that's what it's called, excuse me, link to bio category has sort of scratched that itch by giving those creators at least just like a simple landing page to put there just to look professional. If someone clicks on it, it brings you to just a single page. It's almost like about.me, that page that was popular about 10 years ago. Yeah. Just one page. It just says like a little bit about yourself. Yeah, it's not even a website. It's just a page. It's just a one-page website, a little bit about yourself, your contact information. And so a lot of the creator economy is even simpler than this simple end of the website spectrum. But I think to the extent that some of them are graphic designers, professionals that want to show a portfolio, these types of, I keep saying low code. It's more of a no code thing. Are absolutely in the addressable market for what Yext is doing here. And again, what Wix and Squarespace have been after for a long time.
So it has 2 bars of code, like on your cell phone signal
right.
icon. It's got 2 bars.
2 bars, yeah.
So no code is interesting. When I hear no code, what I hear is somebody who has an idea for a product and wants to just launch it without hiring a bunch of developers or hiring a dev shop. This feels in that spirit, in the sense of no code, that you don't need to hire a developer to build the website for you. Same concept. Is it truly no code, or is it just no code adjacent?
Yeah, it is. Now, no code, usually the place where no code is most prevalent is what we're talking about today, which is websites, because you can easily do something that's drag and drop, that's simply something that someone is coming along to read.
Right.
No code has also crept into, but I'm a little skeptical of it, actually building apps that have functionality, where you can build an app that has things that need to query a server and just do all this more complicated stuff for, functionality beyond just something that you're just reading. Now that no code is trying to break into that world, but it's a little more difficult because at some point there's code, right?
Right. Yeah. And I Googled this yesterday. There was an article with a long list of products built with no code, and I actually didn't read it. So we'll have to talk about that another time. But apparently there are products people are using out there that were built with no code tools. So I don't know if this becomes more common, if we're going to have more apps that we're downloading and using that were built with a no code process. I don't know. That's not really, maybe research it. That'll be another conversation down the road.
Well, also it's like it's sort of a misnomer where code comes in at some point.
Of course,
a no code product to build an app can be used by like the co-founder, the non-technical co-founder. But at some point, they're going to need a developer to sort of clean up the code on the back end. So like no code was used somewhere in the workflow to create this app, but it's sort of a misnomer to say there was never any code here.
Right. It's for a demo, not an MVP sort of thing. If that's the right way to put it. Okay, Mike, maybe this is a good time to take a quick break.
Hi everyone, it's Mike Boland, Senior Analyst at Localogy, here to tell you about L23. It's our annual flagship event, held this year in sunny San Diego, Coronado Bay to be exact, and it's all about charting the course of local commerce and tackling all of the factors and topics that continue to impact the business of local media, advertising, and commerce. So we've got a solid speaker lineup already, and we'd love to see you in Coronado Bay, April 17th through 19th, and you can find out more at localogy.com. Now back to our episode.
And we're back. Okay, Mike, I thought I'd talk about something. It's not something I wrote, it's something I read this morning, actually. I've spent some time recently out of the country, and I just got back, and I was just trying to read up on stuff just to get back in the swing of things. And I came across this article. I was trying to, are we going to talk about AI again? I guess we are. And I came across this article written by a guy named Lance Linoff, who former PC Magazine editor, kind of a tech journalist of some note, who wrote an article. I forgot what the headline said, but essentially what it said was, why are we helping mega companies, by that he really meant Google, make their AI tools better by training them? So in other words, his point was, if you look at ChatGPT, if you look at Bard, all these things, what we're doing by playing with them essentially is making them better, turning them into viable products. We're crowdsourcing for mega companies, mega platforms. So the fear we have that these things become sentient or sentient-like and take our jobs, all the stuff where everyone's fretting about, we're actually making that more possible by using these products and training them. I thought that was interesting. He didn't say stop doing it. He said, well, we're going to do it, but just be aware of what you're doing, I guess was his point. He didn't really have any prescriptions or anything like that. But I just thought it was an interesting point that we're kind of crowdsourcing, Skynet or whatever we're fearful of, that we're sort of making it happen by training these devices, not devices, these platforms, whatever, when you want to call them. And that kind of had a certain resonance. So I was at this meeting last week in another country, and what was fascinating is the conversation about ChatGPT, et cetera, basically the same. Everyone is, figuring out how to build on it. Everyone's figuring out who runs agencies. There's a big agency audience, how to use it in their business and in their workflow. And one person gave a demo of how they, build campaigns and other things with ChatGPT. And then during the Q&A, they acknowledged that the retainers they've been paying to writers and others are already going way down. So there's already an impact on, the use of freelancers and things like that. So it was just an interesting look at how this stuff is being sort of used in everyday life in kind of a local space, granted in another continent, but it was a very similar conversation to what I would expect we would have with a similar audience here. So I guess, the question is, are we kind of, inadvertently sort of bringing Skynet on by crowdsourcing these products? Is that inevitable? Who cares? I mean, I don't know, but I just wondering if you have any reaction to that notion.
Yeah. So the feeding into the language models and the AI training sets that are going to enable the robot uprising.
They become sentient or sentient because we've been spending so much time talking to them.
The robot uprising part, I don't know about that, but I think there is
set that aside. We can set that aside. Yeah,
there is something interesting there that we're essentially the fuel for the revenue generation and the business models. But that I look at and say that's nothing new. If we look at the Web 2.0 movement, one interesting thing that always comes out of that era that people don't talk about is you have companies like Facebook that benefit from a media business model, but without the content costs. They figured out how to take that old media model, but strip out the cost of writers and producers and content, because the content that they're monetizing is all of our interactions and conversations and status updates. So that was sort of the brilliance of what happened there. You could say the same thing in Hollywood. The analogy there, I guess, is reality TV, where it's you're just monetizing, I guess there's a lot of editing that goes into
versus
that.
But the scripted. You're not commissioning a script.
Versus scripted.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess the point there is, that's been going on for a while. Google, you could say that to some degree, where they have developed software that takes all of this existing information and organizes it. But all that content, the fuel for all of that, is stuff that, you and I creating a website or whomever, it's all the web content. So I think that this crowdsourced approach and whether or not it's evil or brilliant, I don't know, but it's not new. It's just the next version of that, I think.
It's old as the hills. Find out how you can get your users to become your your
or
creators,
at least it's as old as
it's as old as the internet.
It's as old as 2006.
Yeah, it's as old as Internet 2.0. No, you're absolutely right there. And I think the article that I read, again, is somebody spouting off about this, but not really offering. He's not saying stop chatting with, I think what he didn't say, but what maybe had been in the back of his mind was, that New York Times article recently, and I forgot the name of the New York Times tech writer. I think it was New York Times. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who had the conversation with, I think it was the Bing chatbot.
Yeah.
That got weird, let's just put it that way. And
I think the bot said he should leave his wife. And
it was when I say it got weird, it's got that kind of weird. And I think that freaked everyone out. And then a lot of people came back in and said, I was actually listening to a presentation last week, an interesting term, hallucination, that chatbots, these, advanced, large language conversational chatbots can have hallucinations where they produce kind of wild things that are just sort of fragments of whatever, information's out there that they end up making stuff up, basically. And those are sort of known as hallucinations. And I think that's okay. That's just something that kind of gets worked out of the process as we interact with it more. And I think it's part of the training process, I would imagine, is eliminating weird conversations like that, or when they deliver things that are just made up.
Yeah.
But we're speeding that process along. I think it's inevitable. I'm not saying anyone should say stop talking to chatbots, stop trying to figure out how to use them to make money, because we're going to do that. That ship has sailed. There's no bringing that ship back to port, nor do I think we should necessarily. But I thought it was just an interesting notion that if we're going to complain about sentience, understand our role in making it happen.
Well, also there's the sort of, we need to manage our expectations that I think AI, maybe rightly so, is being held to a standard to be better than humans. But the AI training sets that form AI are, just all of the sort of imperfect human, just basically it's a reflection of the web, which is, as we know, it's a cesspool of stuff. By the way, Kevin Roos is the art of video.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I couldn't think of the name.
Yeah. But yeah, it's and it's early days. Of course, there's going to be like these comic fails of AI. And I think that, that's going to happen. We need to let it work it out. And I think that too often when there's this conclusion that AI has failed, or that it's going to lead to the robot uprising, or it's just like useless, or whatever the allegation may be, is when it's sort of held to a standard that maybe it shouldn't at this point.
Right.
But, it's link bait. People love the sort of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and doom and gloom. And of course, there's just going to be all these voices screaming about it. So I guess, that's going to be inevitable. But sometimes it's annoying when it's just turned into something that it's not.
Yeah. And this article felt like you're raising a point and then offering no alternative.
Which one is that? The PC Mag one or the Kevin?
The PC
Roos?
Mag I'm referring to. The Kevin Roos. I think Kevin Roos was just trying to figure out what these things already.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah. That was good. I mean, that was an artfully done piece. It was.
Yeah.
That was more.
I'm not sure I have a beef with PC Mag guy either. Other than
me neither. Yeah.
Other than he was raising something and then saying, just go ahead and keep doing it. Because we're going to anyway.
Yeah.
Which is sort of how I would have concluded that. It's like, okay, are we really going to stop training these things? That's part of how they work, and whatever.
Also, to my point that like it's not new. I think really more of that. My beef with that article is like, nothing to see here. Like, why is this news?
It wasn't. It was just, something I came across. The headline was very intriguing. The headline was, "Go ahead, keep training, these things." And I was like, all right, I got to read this.
Yeah. That it is an intriguing thought, but it could have been done in a tweet.
This could have been a tweet. That's a new saying. Yeah, this could have been a tweet.
It should have been a tweet.
Yeah. Stop training the bots before you were teaching them how to take over. And maybe we are, but I think there's nothing going to stop us from doing that. I think it's more that, we're making them better. They're going to get better one way or another. And, that's, he ultimately said, don't stop doing it. Just understand you're doing it. And I think that's a fair point. I'm not sure everyone understands that's part of the process.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for, I think we should do this more often, is recommend the books and movies and TV shows. I'm actually surprised that through all this AI talk, we haven't heard more recommendations to go out and see Battlestar Galactica. I don't know if you're a fan.
Not really, one. But that doesn't make it bad. It just means
Ronald D. Moore. Yeah. Ronald D. Moore, like mid to late 2000s production of Battlestar Galactica is awesome. And there are a lot of sort of interesting, intriguing philosophical questions. The whole show is about this sort of AI gone awry and then the robot uprising. And it's, it's a great show.
Right. Well, there's, everyone talks about Terminator, but there's probably way better.
Yeah, Terminator's another good one.
What was the one with Machina? I forget the full name of the movie, but that was actually a very interesting movie.
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Couldn't remember the first part of that title. There's a lot of great movies out there that kind of freak you out about this. I think most,
and of course, there's The Matrix.
Yeah,
I mean, there are a lot of examples. Yeah,
right. They all freak you out. None of them sort of offer a hopeful view. I don't think, well, that's not a
Oh,
movie.
they're all dystopian.
Yeah.
They're all dystopian.
Yeah. And that's the best. I mean, if I were making a movie about AI, I'd make a dystopian movie. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
You know, that's what sells.
Well, there's also Steven Spielberg's AI. There's the name of the movie is AI. That would be the most obvious example.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe in this current environment where people are so stoked about ChatGPT, at least some people are stoked about it, that somebody's going to create some fictional content with a more hopeful vision for it. I don't know if we'll see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I joked, I forgot where I made this joke recently with somebody. I think it was when I was talking to Emily from Yelp, that next year's Oscars, one of the winning or at least nominated scripts will be a ChatGPT generated script. We'll see about
right.
that. I think that's maybe not next year, but within a few years, I think it may not be acknowledged. Maybe there'll be somebody credited who edited the script, but the original draft was created by AI. Yeah. I bet we may already be there without realizing it. So anyway, Mike, that's probably a good place to end it for this week in local. So why don't you read us out?
Sure. Thanks, Charlie. So thanks, everyone, for listening. This has been This Week in Local. This episode was brought to you by L23, Localogy's flagship event, taking place this year in San Diego in just a few weeks, April 17th through 19th. And you can find out more at localogy.com. Stay tuned every week for more episodes of This Week in Local. You can find the show on all major podcast networks. Please subscribe, like, and comment. So I'm Mike Boland with Charles Laughlin. Thanks for listening and see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Localogy's This Week in Local with Mike Boland and Charles Laughlin. Be sure to subscribe for more.